like to welcome you all to Whangarei Art Museum, Te Manawatoi. Thank you very much for all of you for coming along. Welcome to those of you who have not been here before. I know we have quite a few people from out of the district, so welcome, welcome. Haere mai, haere mai, haere mai. Thank you for coming along to the opening of Whangarei Lands on the World. This is actually the third Te Papa exhibition we've had at the new reborn Whangarei Art Museum here since September 2010. So this is about an ongoing relationship. It's very exciting. I'll remind you that our last exhibition actually at the Rose Gardens in the Old Art Museum was also a Te Papa exhibition, the Rita Angus exhibition. So this is about an ongoing relationship that actually extends well back before Michael's time actually, when we were setting up the art museum and the Te Papa didn't even exist. And I was able to negotiate some loans from Te Papa for the Garth Tapa retrospective exhibition, which were actually in lockdown, so because of the big move. So it's actually kind of about a rather special relationship that the Whangarei Art Museum's had with Te Papa for a long, long time now, 18 years to be precise. So thank you very much for coming along. I'd like to acknowledge the Mayor. Thank you very much. Morris Cutforth and Gillian, thank you very much for coming along. Welcome to councillors. Welcome to our special guests, Michael Houlihan, Chief Executive of Te Papa, Tracy Pudkowski, Associate Director of Museum of Living Cultures. I'm still getting my tongue around that. I'd also like to welcome Cherie Meacham, Director of Waikato Museum. She's come up from Hamilton as well today. Welcome, and thank you all for coming along. And our special guest, straight from a sad burial of a budgie, Phil Heatley, who's actually going to open. You need to tell this story, Phil. It's lovely.
It's very sad.
So I'm not making. Seriously, it's a beautiful story. So we're a little bit late, but that's why. So I would like to acknowledge all of the team at Te Papa who've actually helped us put this exhibition together. It's been wonderful. Thank you to all the sponsors. I think it looks pretty stunning. I'm very pleased. And I have to say, it is actually the most substantial exhibition we've actually put together from Te Papa, fulfilling both galleries. And so in that context, I'd like to thank my board and my team who are here, but particularly the board and the council for giving me, frankly, walls. So we would not have actually achieved this without, at the very 11th hour, getting extra walls into Gallery 2 there. You can see that we actually got the 165 works in right to the very last wall. Go around and count. It's an interesting exercise. And we were hanging here till 5 o'clock or something last night. So it's been a huge effort, but I want to thank all of the team. Thank you very much, Andrea, Jimmy, and all of the team here. Thank you very much. You've all worked really hard. It's been brilliant. So I know some of you are waiting to meet Michael Houlihan, and I can tell you he has a little bit of a teensy little announcement to make about the relationship that I've just been talking about. So thank you very much, Michael, for coming along and spending the day with us. No, you don't have to say anything at all.
Arawe kia kite, ia koutou katoa. It's wonderful to see so many people here tonight. It's great. What do you think of this exhibition? Isn't it fantastic? It's brilliant. It's really good. And essentially what it is, obviously Scott's talked about the relationship with Te Papa over quite a number of years. And Te Papa's got three priorities. One is about making the national collection more available to more people in more places. Secondly, it's about learning, both for young people right the way through to people of my age. I'm still learning at Te Papa. And it's about for Te Papa being New Zealand's storyteller. And this, I think, really begins to reflect that. And thank Scott for helping us to put this particular exhibition on. It kicked off at Te Papa back in 2011. There had been an exhibition quite a number of years ago, I think. But this has also been on display at Auckland Art Gallery, at Waikato. But some of you may not know that a version of it has been on show at the National Museum of China as well. Because you'll probably notice there's quite a number in that room, quite a number of photographs that he took in China back in the late 50s, including some shots of Mao Zedong. And so we had a show at the National Museum, which included some of the work that he did not only in China, but a comparative set, some of which are here, of shots that he did also in New Zealand. I'm just amazed by these photos. I mean, I'm complete rubbish at photography, even with a digital camera. But you know, if you take enough shots with a digital camera, one of them looks like art. But he just used this sort of equipment and just took these photos. And there's, I don't know if you got the shot of Picasso at the bullfight. Yeah. I didn't notice it as we were walking around, but he's just caught that look on Picasso's face, which is amazing. You know, how do you do that without posing and all that? And the technical quality of his work is absolutely superb. So it's wonderful to see these images here. Te Papa does have a very active program of touring its exhibitions, not only in the nation, but we've also got, apart from our exhibition that we had in China, we've also got another exhibition of Kunamu, Greenstone, which is currently touring in China. That just opened in Guangdong, formerly known as Canton. And we've also got another exhibition called Eituaki, which is in Ottawa, and a third exhibition called Wales, and that's just opened at the Natural History Museum, the American Museum of Natural History in Manhattan. So we do have this very active program of touring exhibitions. But I think what's really important is about how we work with communities across this nation. And it's been really great working with Scott and his team, because this is not a colonial exhibition. It's not Te Papa saying, we've got this exhibition, put it on your walls. It's about working with Scott and his team to select those objects with those images which really work for you. And I think that's a really important part of what Te Papa needs to do for the future. So that aspect of what, it's a rather unfortunate phrase or word, co-creation it's called these days. It's one of these digital words. But it is actually reflecting what we're trying to do, which is work together with communities, not only to create together, but also in a sense to publish together. So this exhibition, whilst it's based on Te Papa's collections, is very much an expression of the creative and innovative mind of Scott and his team. So thanks for doing yet another take on Brian Brake. It's really great to see it. Scott did sort of hint at a little announcement. It is quite a small announcement, but this sort of co-creation that we've done here tonight is a little bit of a test bed for us, and we're also using Scott as a test bed again. I did say earlier tonight it's because he's the most difficult director to work with. It's not true, really. So what we're looking to do, there have been some rumours that Te Papa is bringing all of its collections to Whangarei. Sadly, that's not true. However, there is a small space over here, which is actually literally that wall. And what we're going to be doing, there will be, over the next year, frequently, very frequently, changing pieces from Te Papa's collections will be on display here. It could be a work of fine art, it could be something else that, again, reflects what Scott and his team want to show from the National Collection. We're not saying, here, have this. So it could be something of relevance to Northland, it could be something of relevance particularly to Whangarei, or it could just be something special. And it could be a couple of items or whatever, but we will be rotating those objects very frequently. So that's something new for us, a new way of working. So we're really excited about that. And hopefully that's something that we can extend to other museums. In the future. had the opportunity to hear some really interesting presentation today about Hunterwasser. I also had the best interactive museum experience that I've had in an awful long time in Waipu today. It involved a quantity of Scottish whiskey and a haggis. So, you know, we've got to have it now to Papa. We're just so far behind, it's just crazy. But I'd just like to really finish by thanking Scott and the team here for this exhibition. The way in which it's presented, the choice, it's almost as good as Te Papa's show. Might even be better. But it really looks fantastic, and it's a tremendous compliment to the work that the team do. And it's not just about what goes on in the galleries, it's what goes on outside of the walls in terms of all the programming, the education work that you do, everything. You are a totally interactive, community-based museum, and that's fantastic. So we've got a lot to learn from you. So thanks to Scott, thanks to the team. The exhibition looks fantastic. Thank you very much.
So just to explain, that wall will become, at the end of it, basically the conclusion of the Whangarei exhibition, will become a permanent Te Papa wall. So there will be a permanent presence of Te Papa in the Whangarei Art Museum in perpetuity, or whatever we choose to do once we've signed a memorandum of understanding, but it's great. So we're actually the pilot of a really interesting concept to bring the National Collection here to Whangarei on a monthly basis. We'll be bringing 6 months of works created up from Te Papa twice a year, and every month we'll be changing one work with a filmed little video clip from the curator explaining the relevance of that work. And as we move further along down in terms of forward planning, but obviously our Goldie is an obvious example is to perhaps start with. But as we move forward in terms of our planning, we can look at exhibitions that we've got coming up, like Glen Lai, like Centenary of World War I, exhibitions like that where we can actually plan 6 months or a year in advance some of the works, absolutely key works. So these will be masterworks from the Papa collection. And I think it's a really great concept, and I think Whangarei Museum should be next, seeing as you came, Tracy, Cherie. So thank you very much. But I would actually like to acknowledge Phil and thank him for coming along tonight. I know you've had a busy evening, but I really like to acknowledge Phil's support for 15, 16 years now for the Whangarei Art Museum. It's great to have this announcement made with Phil being here, because some of you remember that we last year had an exhibition of Whangarei Art Museum, Whangarei Artists in Parliament itself, and it's about how we grow those kind of relationships and those alignments, strategic alignments further along. But thank you, Phil, if you'd like to just say a few words and effectively formally open the exhibition.
No, it's fine. E nā waka, e nā mana, e nā reo, tēnā koutou katoa. Can I acknowledge Mayor and Mayoress Gillian? Wonderful to see you here this evening. We were together, the Mayor, I guess, and local MP, opening Whangarei's largest artwork on Saturday morning.
And we are so excited, aren't we?
Which is the bridge. And so that is Whangarei's largest artwork, and it was just a delight to be part of that. So good to see you here tonight, Morris. I am sorry we're running a little bit late, but as Scott said, I had some domestic issues this evening, which I'll just touch on briefly because I think it's a great excuse and you've never heard it before. And that is that I arrived home tonight and my daughter's canary had died, and she's 8. And unfortunately, on Saturday, my wife's finch died. And I'll go back a bit. A week ago, my daughter got excited because she decided she needed a canary. My wife got her to do a project so that when she went to buy one, she had all these questions for the canary salesperson, which she did. And she got pictures of what she wanted and all this little 8-year-old. Anyway, she went up to buy her canary. Apparently, she needed a breeding pair, so she got 2. Apparently, Nina needed 1, my other daughter, and she needed a breeding pair, which was 4 canaries that Dad got. And because Mummy took them, there were 5 canaries. sadly, I came home tonight and there were 2 finches and 3 canaries. I came home tonight and 2 had died, and they had for me some plastic from a greenhouse, a sharp blade and a staple gun, which I was expected to wrap around all this stuff around our bird cage in the dark. And I can tell you that blades are dangerous in the dark, but staple guns are worse. And we will discover when it gets light tomorrow morning how many other canaries are dead with staples, which could be very sad. So I apologise for being late, but those domestic duties, as you can imagine, are very, very important. Scott and I have been sort of involved together a little bit with the Whangarei Art Museum. I know very little about art, although I do support it. I do admit that I don't know a lot about it, and he's sort of kind of made me interested. And there's been 2 firsts at this particular organisation, the Whangarei Art Museum, have been involved in that I've been delighted to share with them. One was taking a collection from here down to the Parliament. He queried me a couple of years ago as to whether any regional museum or museum in the provinces had ever showed their works in Parliament buildings. And when I asked the Speaker, apparently it had never happened before. And if any of you have walked through Parliament buildings, you'll know that there's a lot of art displayed throughout those premises. So a couple of years ago, Scott arranged art to come from this museum to be shown in Parliament over a period of about 30 days, which was great. I had colleagues along, and of course the people on the premises, and there's a lot of them, got to experience a little bit about Whangarei culture and some Northland artwork, so that was great. And then tonight, of course, is an announcement about the second first for Whangarei Art Museum, and that is the future, I guess, signing of a memorandum of understanding to have Te Papa show artworks here on a regular basis. And I'm absolutely delighted for Scott, for your team, and thank you, Michael, very much, not just for coming up here, which is a huge effort. I know how far away Wellington is, but just the fact that you're able to consider us in the provinces so far away with those sorts of opportunities. So thank you for coming up, and thank you for that opportunity. So I congratulate Scott and the team, those on the board of the Whangarei Art Museum, for making this possible. It's nice to be able to be down in Wellington bragging a bit that we get a few firsts, and we've got 2. So I'm delighted to be here tonight, and I guess all that's left for me to do is to ask for a few seconds silence for my daughter's budgie, or canary, and spare them a thought, and also to officially open the Blake collection, Brian Blake collection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil.
Morena, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you, Phil. So, yeah, we've got no flowers. So thank you again, Phil, Casey and Mike, and Cherie for coming along. Thank you all for coming along. Please enjoy the exhibition. You actually get to see it for free tonight. You'll have to pay $2 tomorrow. So please stay and enjoy the exhibition and the food and the wine. And thank you again for all coming along. Thank you.